Petty officer shame.
Can he say it?
Can you say it?
Mr. Patton, please.
Come on.
Been around the world twice. Talked to everyone once. There ain't nothing I can't do. No sky too high, no sea too rough. Learned a lot of lessons in my life. Never shoot a large caliber man with a small caliber bullet. Anything in life worth doing is worth overdoing. Moderation's for cowards. I'm a lover. I'm a fighter. I'm a UDT Navy SEAL diver.
Listen up. Red Wings a go. Bad guy. Senior Taliban commander.
Shaw killed 20 Marines last week. 20.
We're going in with a four-man team. Axelson, myself, Dietz, Marcus.
TV. That's a lot more than 10 guys. That's an army.
Alright guys, so we're back with 2014 with reviews of movies.
That's
and
right.
Tonight we saw Mark Wahlberg, Lone Survivor, true based on true acts of courage. That is actually the full title of the movie. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
So this is basically another modern war movie since following the Zero Dark 30. And in terms of war movies,
and if you're going to talk about Zero Dark 30 and great movies about the war on terror, you can't forget about one of the greatest movies of this century. No.
Not Hurt Locker, no.
Not The Hurt Locker. What do you think it is?
I should be getting this, but I'm not right now.
Alex, it's Act of Valor starring real Navy SEALs.
Act of Valor.
Did you ever see that?
No, I've not seen Act of Valor. I heard it was
man.
basically a Go Army commercial from what I was told about it.
Careful, bro. Careful.
Oh my god, this guy.
No, he's got it. He's got it. But, yeah, you know what? Sidebar, let's talk about Act of Valor for a minute because, it's about Navy SEALs.
I want to comment this guy on his pro driving. That was some pretty pro driving by that dude. Anyway.
If he wasn't a complete butthole, he would have just gone up another level.
Nope.
And just not almost
sideswiped me and the car behind me. Okay. But yes, basically, Lone Survivor and...
Wait, can I just say one thing about Act of Valor? It made me really, really appreciate actors. I'll leave it at that because, Navy SEALs, you've got to be incredibly tough and incredibly strong-minded to make it through their training, but...
Doesn't mean you can act.
Yeah, I don't think acting is I don't think theater training or acting is a big part of their training regimen. So now, moving on to Lone Survivor, the Navy SEAL movie with real actors.
Now, the story of Lone Survivor is the story of a special operations team in Afghanistan, and the operation goes very, very wrong. Yeah, and hence there's the Lone Survivor. Yeah. As the title clearly implies, that there's the Lone Survivor, which is clearly obvious for anybody, is going to be Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. Duh.
He's the only guy in the posters. But yeah, the movie is based on Operation Red Wings, I think.
Yeah, Red Wings.
Which was
take out a Taliban leader.
Yeah, which was a failed operation in, I think, 2005 that just went
very
wrong
very bad.
In a lot of ways.
It's almost like, this movie reminds me in some ways of Black Hawk Down. It's very similar to Black Hawk Down, an operation that goes very, very wrong. But it's almost like it's a different type of, do you think it's similar to Black Hawk Down, but more in terms of an operation going wrong, but it's a very gruesome movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You definitely get traces of Black Hawk Down because it's just the fact that there were two big operations that just went bad.
Very, very bad. But
really bad.
And besides Mark Wahlberg, there's also Taylor Kitsch. At least it's good to see him in a good movie again.
Yeah. I guess we can start talking about the actors involved in it. There's Taylor Kitsch, who plays the unit leader, Michael Murphy.
Yes, Michael.
Who's also a real guy. I think he actually was awarded the Medal of Honor. Posthumously, of course.
He was.
But yeah, he received the Medal of Honor for... Well, and you know what, if you haven't read about the actual operation, I won't spoil it for you, but... Yeah, I think he deserved it.
Yeah, this is a very, very good movie. And,
Yeah.
you know, when it comes
Oh, yeah, I guess we should come out and say that yeah,
this is a really good
it's
movie.
a good movie.
And the thing I have with most war movies is that they're too monotonous or too ultra patriotic. Not that there's anything wrong with patriotism, but I call it like basically kind of like Act of Valor. Seemed like an ultra patriot Go America.
Alex, you have no idea.
Oh, I'm sure.
You have no idea.
Based on what I've heard, I'm sure I've been told that by other people besides you, so this is not new. But it's interesting because it gets into depth, you know, when America's fighting an enemy in many movies, they like to make the enemy basically very one-dimensional, and this doesn't do that, which impressed me immensely. Like, it doesn't talk about it greatly, and most of it's at, like, in the post-credits, but it really kind of shows, like, the region as, like, a whole and how complicated it is. Anyway, I just exited the parking lot. Okay, anyway, back to... Sorry for that pause.
But
right
yeah,
there.
no, I agree with you where it's not...
And
it's you know, there's actually a lot of criticism for this movie saying that it's a very hoorah, go America, pro-war movie. Which
but it really isn't.
I would disagree with that sentiment. However, at the beginning, though, I could kind of see that when they show actual footage of SEAL training, which that seemed really, really out of place.
Yeah, that was the only criticism I had. Like, for how dark this movie is, the SEAL training, I guess it's, you know, it is kind of a little too go raw, which I know annoys some people and probably some people like, just depending on their preferences. But, I mean, from what I've read a lot about this, like, what the SEALs do and, like, what different groups do. And then it's like, and you can even see, even if you know nothing about it, it's some intense stuff they go through.
I mean, the whole reason why they put that sequence in the title credits was to show the intensity of their training. But even then, yeah, you show how, you know, that they are, as I said, you know, very powerful and strong-minded. But it just felt out of place in the movie. I didn't really
it felt like too go raw in a movie that's really not... Like, what's weird is the intro, they show, like, a real clips of, like, the training they do, and its brutality, which it is, and how difficult and how not many people survive it, really. It's really about survival, is what their training is. And, it seemed to me out of place, and given how dark of a movie that was to follow. Like, it sets the tone almost like it sets the tone completely wrong.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
Like,
and even when they're at the base, to me those scenes when they're, you know, on the base just sort of planning the operation, just hanging out, that reminded me a bit too much of my frat house.
Yeah,
I'll admit. And I'm kind of sick of the whole, you know, we're all bros, man, you know, brothers in arms, you know, we fight together. And while that's true, it's just sort of, well, it didn't really seem to fit into the movie, you know, if that doesn't make any sense.
It was almost like the first 30 minutes could have been either cut out and it was like part of another movie to me.
Or edited.
And
what was I was going to say something else, but I feel like the movie really takes off when the four protagonists that we follow actually touch down on the ground and launch the mission.
Okay,
I feel like that's when it really starts
it does take
taking
off. Which is weird that the movie really takes, like, it isn't until, like, what is it, like 30 minutes in, roughly, you think?
And I think a big part of that is, at first, it didn't really seem like the four actors really had that chemistry. Maybe that's what it is. It seemed like they filmed this scene, that beginning of the scene, way earlier, you know, before they filmed anything else in the movie. Which...
Oh, by the way, I liked Eric Bana in the movie, who also was in Black Hawk Down.
Oh yeah, speaking of... Yeah, I feel like we should also keep talking about the actors a bit. So, we mentioned Mark Wahlberg, who was really good. You know, he wasn't Mark Wahlberg as Mark Wahlberg, you know? He didn't do the whole, hey man, hey guy, I'm your friend, I'm not gonna hurt you, while he's kicking the shit out of someone. Yeah. You've seen Mark Wahlberg do that a lot.
I like this is like the less comedic Mark Wahlberg. Like, the last time we saw him was in that movie with Two Guns with Denzel Washington.
I didn't see that.
Oh, you didn't see it? I did. And I like the more serious Mark Wahlberg. Like, he's done serious movies and comedy movies, and I like his serious movies better.
He knows what he's doing, and he clearly took this role very seriously.
Yeah, it reminded
He took
him
it to
almost
heart.
like his character in The Shooter, sort of.
Kind of.
Yeah, I might be stretching it a bit, but...
But, but
also,
you also
I want to
can't
point
forget,
out, like in the beginning,
sorry.
that guy from that actor from the Hunger Games was in it. I just remembered that. Okay.
I don't know who that is, but okay.
He was in the movie like 2 seconds. Anyway.
Alright, but, and then you have Ben Foster, who plays, or actually, go back, Taylor Kitsch. We talked about him already. I thought he was really good.
I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Taylor Kitsch he did that movie with Brooke Lively that I can't remember, about those drug dealer guys. And I think he's talented. Like, I know his career has had a very rough start, so to speak, but I think he actually, like,
Yep.
showed to me that he has potential.
Yeah, in Friday Night Lights, he showed that he's really good at playing the tortured soul.
Yeah, he really is. And
I think, being a Navy SEAL in this sort of situation is about as tortured of a soul as you can get.
And speaking of tortured soul, like, there's a point in the movie where there is a really big, like, moral question. Like, I thought that was one of the high points of the movie, that there's this moral question, and it really shows the soldiers as being, like, human, instead of these, like, inhuman robots or inhuman machines. And I liked that human moment, because I feel a lot of war movies lack that. Not just, like, not just the physical part of the war, the shooting, but also the mental part, which I don't think a lot of war movies do. And I liked that they had that, where, like, well, there are, like, a cohesive unit, that disagreement that's there, and I thought that, and I was impressed by that.
I think a big part of that has to do with the fact that the 4 actors seem to be really, really on page in that scene. Which finally brings us to the other 2 actors the other 2 main actors in this movie, which are Ben Foster playing Matt Axelson.
Yeah, was Ben Foster in 0 Dark 30 too?
No, but I will go out on a limb and say he might have put in the best performance in this movie.
Yeah, he actually did.
Yeah, he was the blonde guy.
Yeah, the blonde guy.
You know who he is.
Yeah, he honestly owned every scene he was in.
Yeah. I can't think... Ben Foster was in that movie The Messenger with Woody Harrelson, where he plays one of those guys who goes to people's homes who are in the army to inform them that their son or daughter died.
Yeah.
And he was quality, just top-notch quality in that, and he brings it in this movie. So,
and also,
I definitely am going to start paying attention to any movie that has Ben Foster in it. And last but not least is Emile Hirsch as Danny Dietz. Dietz, right?
Dietz, I think.
Dietz.
I have no idea if we're pronouncing that right.
I was about to say Diaz, but I feel like there was a T in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think there's a T in there. I can't.
But yeah,
I don't remember. Yeah, he was also really good in this movie.
Yeah, Emile Hirsch, is a good actor.
Yes.
It's just he seems to have kind of fallen off. He's.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of him being in any movies recently until Lone Survivor.
Yeah, and also the whole. I loved how also the way they paced that whole action scene. I thought was also paced really well.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. I saw you jump when they started shooting, Alex.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, no, and they really built up the tension. Like when they first are like retreating and they first see the people on the ledge, you just start know like, oh shit.
They did a great job throughout that whole movie where they sort of lull you to a calmer state. And then all of a sudden the shooting starts and you just jump. I saw you jump a couple of times. I jumped.
Also,
I was right there with you, Alex, just jumping out of my seat whenever the shooting started.
Yeah, also, and that tension was perfect. Also, the brutality of them fall. There's a couple scenes where they falls down a cliff, and you just are looking at it and just looking like, oh, like imagining how painful that is.
Oh, and not only is it because of the psychological tension of this movie, but it's also just physically brutal and gory. So, yeah, just a heads up, this is a hard R.
Yeah, this is a hard R. This is a very...
I've got to say, Alex, this is the first action movie I've seen in a really long time where it was kind of hard to watch at times.
Yeah, it was very difficult to watch at times, but and its intensity. I've not seen an action movie that intense, and I think why I enjoyed this movie is that I think that intensity in action movies has kind of been watered down.
Yeah, because may I touch upon that whole point of tension that we had before we launched? Before we started talking about the gore. All right. So it's something that you kind of see with horror movies where you can't have it be scary all the time. You know, you have to have points where you bring down the terror a bit. And the same rule applies in action movies as well. The reason why Michael Bay-esque blockbusters are so awful is because it's just constant rolling
explosions, gunfights all the time. And that's why who directed Lone Survivor?
Peter Berg.
Peter Berg. And I'm glad that but this movie, like, I wanted to see another war movie by someone not Catherine Bigelow to prove that we could do war movies good again. And this is kind of at least confirmation to me that war movies are really more...
Wait, I thought you liked Catherine Bigelow
I do like
movies.
her. I want somebody that could do well besides her.
Okay.
So, seeing this really proves to me that people want and people can make great war movies that aren't Michael Bay. And that's a good thing in my book. And I liked the not just the stop and the tension, but the time that the fighting gets briefly pauses where the actors get to re-interact and.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Those sort of coming down moments where you can breathe, and then all of a sudden, when the action kicks back up again, it's 10 times more terrifying because you were just lulled to a more peaceful state.
Exactly, and I thought that. It's not a very long movie, but it doesn't need to be.
I think it's about 2 hours.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours.
It did not feel like 2 hours, man. It did not feel like... I did not have the same problem I had with Captain Phillips.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it did not feel 2 hours, and that's good. And, and that's impressive, despite how we mentioned earlier that the beginning probably ran too long.
Yeah, which reminds me of another point, bringing with Captain Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that they're just that they're movies that involve Navy SEALs. With Captain Phillips, kind of.
Well, yeah, kind of Navy. It was involved Navy SEALs.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing also with Zero Dark 30, which also kind of involved Navy SEAls. But it's the question of when you're, when you're dealing with a... God damn, excuse me again.
That's alright.
When you're dealing with with an event that's actually happened, a historical event, especially one that happened pretty recently, in terms of modern history, where you read about it in the papers, you can read about it online, and you already know how the story's going to end. That's the big problem.
That's the challenge with these movies.
And the challenge with movies like this, especially since it's so fresh in everyone's memory, that you have to make the stuff in between interesting. That leads up to that final point, you have to make that interesting. Zero Dark 30 did that.
And this movie
Captain
does it too.
Phillips didn't do that, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that's what Captain Phillips got wrong, is that they had all this lull moment where they kind of didn't know what to do there, so they just filled it.
And with Lone Survivor, it's interesting. The stuff that happens before final end point is interesting. So you, as the audience member, you're still engaged, even though you already know how the story ends. You already know how, Taylor Kish and Ben Foster and Emil Hirsch, you know that they're not going to make it through the movie. They're not going to see the end credits. And in my opinion, that actually made it even more intense, because the whole time I was sitting in the theater, my heart was I was just sort of
you're
thinking
waiting for
in my
the storm
head,
to arrive.
Yeah, I just want the storm to hit so we can get over it, and I don't have to feel this horrible, horrible thing brewing inside of me anymore.
The calm before the storm. It's never a fun feeling. But, it's, and they kept that tension going, which is, it shows the skill of the director, and, I didn't expect, I heard good things, but for a movie coming out in January, I'm surprised that this ended up in January, honestly. I'm surprised this ended up being, because, January is what anybody who's into movies like I am, is the crap months of movies. And, it's, and I also liked the whole end scene, too, where Mark Wahlberg's character's in that village in Afghanistan, and it kind of really, like it would have been very easy to make, basically, to genericize, the people.
Yes,
over
the
there.
Afghan
The
villagers.
Afghan people, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it brought a human face to the indigenous Afghani population,
and
which
kind of like how different their world is, and
Yeah.
I thought, and I like,
and as we've read about it before. We watch documentaries and stuff, and we're well informed, so we kind of know. But maybe for Joe Average American who thinks about seeing this movie and just wants to see some action, maybe he'll get something out of this, and maybe
we can hope
I don't
so.
know. We can hope so. Maybe I'm a bit too much of a dreamer right now,
Maybe. But I liked how they did that at the whole end, and they do it. There's a long end credit scene too. Well, they actually show the guys, and I thought that tribute was nice. And, them talking about, like, how Afghanistan, like, kind of, it almost, like, it's like a region that's almost been stuck in this, like, this way of life for thousands of years. And it's just, because I'm a history guy, so I know a lot of the background already, being I'm a history nerd. I'll admit it to you listeners, I am a history nerd. I admit it right now. I admit it. I'm a history nerd.
Well, you are with a kindred spirit, Alex.
Yes, and it's really, and I liked how they did that, and I think they did that, and they did that in Zero Dark 30 too, which is something I'd like. I think it's a new trend in war movies, not to just genericize the enemy, which they used to really do that.
Well, I mean, filmmakers still do that, but
they
they're
still
the
do
shitty
that.
ones.
Yes, Michael Bay, I'm looking at you in your Pearl Harbor movie. Never. Have you ever seen the Michael Bay Pearl Harbor movie?
I saw part of it.
Oh, no.
And I I really don't plan on seeing
Oh.
any more of it.
You are a very lucky human being. Alright, I think we should give our reviews.
Yeah, ratings. So, I guess maybe we should. Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie?
The only thing I didn't like was I thought the whole montage in the training, it kind of to me set the wrong tone. And the monologuing is okay. I'm not a fan of monologuing in movies, like in general, but I liked this monologue when Mark Wahlberg's character kind of does that monologues in the beginning. But yeah, there was nothing I really didn't like except for the beginning part. But given that the movie didn't feel too long, it didn't annoy me too much. Is there anything I left out?
I don't know. I can't think of anything right now. Maybe, I guess you could argue that the way how the Taliban fighters sort of just bowled over like bowling pins whenever they were shot seemed kind of odd, especially for a movie that had a hard R rating. That was kind of weird. Where if this movie's trying to illustrate the brutality of war, I feel like maybe it would have helped if it went both ways.
Yeah, it did. Because I noticed that like every time a Taliban person got shot, they all fell down exactly the same way.
Yeah.
They all did that same like domino fall.
Yeah, so that was that aspect kind of sucked me out a bit, just a bit. Right now I'm fishing for nitpicks right now.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. If you can think of any, feel free. Alex.
Those are just really minor details though, and they don't really take away from the movie. And you really don't have time to put much attention to it. Yeah. Because there's so much other things going on.
Oh yeah.
And I love how they included the fall scene. What impressed me, I talked about the fall scenes earlier in the review, and that it impressed me that they put the environment as really, as a hazard, and as really kind of almost the secondary enemy in the story. And really, it's making it part of the story. Usually in war movies, it's about the people, and the environment kind of falls into the background. But this movie, what I think really makes it unique is the environment really is essential to the story.
Yeah.
It's like this. It's really it's like its own character.
Yeah, I mean the whole reason why the operation went so wrong was because the environment in this incredibly tough terrain. That's a really good point, Alex.
Yeah, I mean it's an insane terrain. It's full of jagged rocks, and it's just it's really coming from the history, it's crazy, you know, reading about, like, the history of that region, like, how crazy it is, and just, like, how how insane that is, like, being in that terrain. Even though that forest did remind me of for some reason of Washington State, but anyway.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely looked like the Pacific Northwest, but anyone who thinks that the Middle East is just filled with deserts is kind of, wrong.
And that all Muslims are basically the same, and it's wrong. And I liked how they pointed that out, that it's wrong. And I really enjoyed it. And honestly, if I were to give a rating, I'd probably give it like a 4.8, 4.9. That beginning montage is the only thing that really makes it, like, perfect. And maybe I'm basically just giving it a 5 anyway, and I'm probably nitpicking.
I'd say, dude, just give it a 5.
I'm just gonna give it a 5. It's perfect. The beginning, the montage, like, it's a little too go raw, but you literally, like, forget about the montage, once the fighting begins. You even forget, like, it's like once the whole mission gets going, you forget about all the previous 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Alex, honestly, come on, dude, just give it a 5.
Okay,
what's the difference between 1/10 of a point?
It means everything.
It's everything!
It means...
It means the world and then some. Oh, man,
that 0.1 can mean a lot. Alright, what's your rating, Peter?
That's a tough one. Man. You know what? I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give it a 5.
5.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I think this is
the first time we've both given a perfect rating.
No, that's not true.
Oh wait, what do we give?
It's the first time that we've given a perfect rating to anything since Gravity. I mean, we haven't done a whole lot of
we
haven't
to
done a
increase
whole lot
that.
of reviews, but
we promised to increase the reviews.
Yeah, this is our second perfect score.
Yeah, it is, and
there are some people who have criticized. We talked about this earlier. Who criticized for being pro-war and this and it's anti-Muslim and there's a bit of that hoorah stuff in it.
But there is in almost every war movie now. Like,
and there's the argument that every pro-war movie or every war movie is pro-war. But when you put that aside, they're telling a story about what happened, and when you get down to it, the reasons when you watch the movie and you just immerse yourself in reasons why we're there, why the U.S. is there,
it becomes
who's
irrelevant.
Evil,
it falls
back. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter when you think about these 4 guys in this incredibly shitty situation.
And I think maybe that's part of what they're doing. Like, I think that's what is interesting, that, Zero Dark 30 really is, the last big war movie, is really, almost all about, it's like almost, I'm going to make an argument, is Zero Dark 30's opposite. Good, not opposite in that it's good and bad, but opposite as its counterpart. Because Zero Dark 30 is all about the reasons and the politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when the raid is, like, the secondary part. Whereas this is just about, the politics are, like, once the fighting starts, the politics go out of the window. It's just about you, who you're fighting, and where you are, and what you're going to do. So I think that's what's interesting, is that it really is almost like Zero Dark 30's opposite. In a way.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just anyone who makes that point, just say, there are movies like that, and you say there's politics and everything, that's true. But
this is the least political army movie I think that I've seen.
No, I mean there's a political strain in everything, in every aspect of life. But in this movie it's there, of course, it has to be, because it's a movie about the war on terror. There is going to be a political element to it, but it's not really about that. It's about a story. It's about an event that actually happened, about 4 guys and a horrible, horrible situation.
Yeah, like, and this has the least amount of politics in it.
Wait, hold on. And from a filmmaking perspective, they did a really, really good job at illustrating this horrible, horrible situation for these 4 men. And for that reason, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. There.
That was perfectly stated. I can't say, could have said it any better myself, that Yeah, this is a great movie, and, you know, I'll put it this way, if you're a fan of Zero Dark 30 or any of those movies previously, go watch this movie right now. Because this is the good war movies. Because trust me, I don't like overt patriotism in a movie. This is not it.
Oh yeah, same with me. Same with me.
You know,
I'm a West Coast, West LA, California dude. I've got my liberal politics, but yeah, no. Yeah.
So don't worry.
You know exactly what I'm trying to say right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So guys, go see this movie. It's worth your time, and it's definitely worth your money spending.
Oh yeah.
And this has been our review of The Lone Survivors. Wait, is there anything more you want to...
Of Lone Survivor.
Lone Survivor.
Yeah.
Oh, is there not the... I kept thinking there was a the in the title.
Really?
Oh my god, I just pronounced the title wrong through this whole entire review.
Alright, but it doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm Peter.
And I'm Alex. Peace, guys.
And yeah, that was our review. And just to recap, 5 out of 5 from my end.
5 out of 5.
Alright, have a good night.
See? God's looking out for us. We're good, right? We're solid. We can be heroes. You are never out of the fight. Just for one day.